Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review, where tonight it is, of course, the transfer show stroke match review, looking back on the performance against, Mainz, the defeat. It ended in a defeat, but it is only pre-season, guys, and there's certainly no reason to get in a blind panic like some certain supporters have. I had comments on my comments on the match report today saying that they wanted Eddie Howe out and things like that, which I find absolutely staggering, to say the least. But that's people's opinions now, and that's the way it works. And I guess that's what we just have to put up with now. It's just the way things are. People are going to have their say on Newcastle United, etc., and I don't know. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. What do you guys think? I mean, Alex, what's your views of the performance?
I mean, there were positives, to be fair. A lot of people seem to have mixed opinions about certain things, like with some people seem to think Trippier did okay. I don't think he did very well. Some people didn't think Dummett did very well. I thought he did all right, considering the circumstances. It was very, very mixed. But, I've just said to you, before we started that we could have just played our strongest 11 and beat them, but we didn't. We started, we tried to mix things up a little bit, and it showed because we were very strong. The defensive line in the midfield, we had total control. And we didn't quite have enough oomph up front. And then the second half, we brought on our big hitters up front, but then we lost a lot of control further back in the pitch. It was just an experiment, It's I wouldn't read too much into it.
Billy, what was your thoughts? I mean, obviously Chris Wood, he'll get talked about simply because it's Chris Wood, and he had opportunities in that first half to bag a goal and maybe do his confidence the world of good, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, actually, I thought we should have had two. But it seems like the ball is an enemy to him. He's got absolutely no way of controlling it in any shape, way, or form. He doesn't know which foot to kick the ball with. He doesn't know where to run to. The ball just doesn't stick to him at all, and we're kind of playing with 10 men in the side, unfortunately to say. And I thought there was some very positive signs for 2/3 of the pitch, just that final third. I thought we played some really good stuff, and it's all about getting yards in your legs and minutes in your legs and getting yourself ready for the beginning of the season. And I thought the press we showed today for 60 minutes with the first lot we had on was absolutely awesome to last 60 minutes. Again, comparing to what we had last season.
Yeah, I think the press was brilliant. I mean, it was great to see. Mainz didn't expect it, to be honest. As soon as we started, they tried to pass the ball out from the back every time their keeper got it, and we were over them like a rash, which was great to see. But again, Alex, it comes to the point that you were making the other day, is just you'd like to see Callum Wilson, Matty Targett playing with, the starting lineup really today. It would have been good to see them.
Yeah, it is a little bit odd because we all know that Maxi thrives when he's got Joe Linton sort of that floats out left. It gives him a bit more support, and it was odd. It was odd. I don't know why it was broken up in that regard. Equally, I'm unsure why Dubravka got 90. I assumed they were going to, give both goalkeepers a try.
Yeah, Pope did come on, mate.
Did he come on?
Yeah, he came
when did
on.
He come on?
60 odd minutes, same as the others.
Oh dear. Well, if he came on a little bit earlier, then we wouldn't have conceded. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you just had a slight clear there.
Hands up! I completely missed that sub.
I didn't see him come on. By the way, I just saw him touch the ball in the second half. That's when I knew he was on the pitch. Zishan, thank you very much for your $8.99 super chat. He says, "Evening, guys. I'm not panicking, but it's clear we need a right winger. Diaby, anyone? I think 50 million is a fair price. I think they should offer 40 million and then maybe 10 million on add-ons." We'll go through some comments here. Spider says some food for thought and a lot of soul searching for Eddie. Anderson looked very impressive, but at the end of the day, onward and upward, boys, in Eddie we believe in. A player like Cornet would vastly improve us today, and he's available for 17 million. Some good deals out there. Don't understand why we are not making moves for them. We've just had a £10 super chat from Ian Fleming. Thanks very much, Ian. Really appreciate that, buddy. He says, I think it was a decent performance, just lacking a bit of quality in the final third. Nicky says, good evening all. Hope everyone is managing to cope with the heat. The Toon game today clearly showed we still need improving, both on and off the field, as we are far from the finished article. Jules, good evening all. Let's have a friendly debate. Click the like button, subscribe to Toon Review. Indeed, Cesare reiterating just what Julie said there. Good evening to Gary. I hope you're well, mate. Dark by Design is not impressed today. Someone needs to get our players some new boots. I lost count of how many times they slipped over. Ridiculous. Even a simple walk out of defence, Dan Burn fell over on the ball while hardly moving. I think that had more to do with the pitch today. I don't think the pitch was in great condition. I think it had been heavily watered, but it was also very slippy for both sets of players out there today, which is why we saw so many fall over. Simon says Richie and Dummett both lacking pace and attacking prowess at left back. Just hope Lewis is back soon to cover target. Matt Ritchie, for me, I mean, you know, they nearly scored in the second half through a mistake by Ritchie, just letting them basically walk straight in. And you know, he's not a left back anyway, and he never will be. Dummett lasted 20 minutes, and we gave him another year. Yeah, Dummett went off. I haven't heard anything about what the injury is. I don't know whether you used to have heard anything, but
it's not an injury. He went off after 30 minutes.
Yeah,
all three left backs got half an hour. It was planned. I thought that. You know, and he played 30. He didn't play 20.
Yeah, he certainly didn't limp off the pitch, did he? He wasn't limping or anything like that. So, Dark by Design says, and that's the last I'm going to say. I'm raging about Wooden Murphy. Absolute rubbish. Good evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Good evening, Carl. Tom says, hope we get some exciting news in the attacking part of our lineup has looked short today. Zapata, 21 million, Cornet, 17.5, and Dennis, 20 million. Vastly improve us and players we could get. Good evening, Yano. Jules Cesare Dummett, the press were made aware ahead of the game that he was only going to play, 20 to 30 minutes as part of a phased return. Good evening, Pilo Keith. Hope you're well. Stu, to you as well. I did not get to watch the game, says Pilo Keith. Are we lacking a decent striker, a creative player, or too early to say? Billy, I don't know about you, but the creative player-wise, Elliot Anderson is really, really pushing to be in this squad this season. And he was outstanding today.
Yeah, he's got a bit of the old Gazza about him, hasn't he? The way he's performed in the previous two games, there's no way I'll be loaning him out this year. I'll be giving him minutes for us. And I have to say, but is he pushing for a start maybe? Because he has got a little bit of intelligence and genius about him. I don't know, maybe off the bench, but yeah, I'll be keeping him in the squad. I won't be loaning him out. Definitely not. The lad's got it, definitely, you can tell.
Yeah, I agree. Up the air one says, evening all, great commentary again today, Paul. Disappointing result, but hopefully Eddie saw what we all saw and what we need and don't need. Alex, what was your impressions of Elliot?
Yeah, very good. I mean, he's been used as a high 8, which is interesting. Obviously, for Rovers, he played as a 10 and 8. He played out on the left. I think he benefited a little bit from Maxi being on the left because they were, poor guy, he had 3 people on him instantly whenever he got near the ball. And then
out, wasn't
he ran into traffic a few times, which is annoying. But then what he started to do later on, I don't know if you noticed, is he would draw the players in and just give it to Elliot Anderson, who would then drive into this huge space that was left open because they'd all swarmed Maxi. And it worked really nicely, actually.
Yeah.
And we just lacked a little bit more. We needed Murphy to be a bit more awake on that opposite side because that had the potential to be a nice little, everybody crowds Maxi, give it to Anderson, rotate round, Shelby. It just didn't work. Murphy was asleep. But Anderson did well. And he's definitely playing better than Murphy. He gives us a different option. He wouldn't take up a slot in the 25. So I don't see how we don't keep him at this rate. You've got to keep him, surely.
He looks very composed on the ball, doesn't he? There was a few times he sort of got the ball and he He made runs. He held players off. He won the ball back.
It's what holding players off. But when we looked at him for his time at Bristol Rovers, I made an effort to point out that he was winning all of his. He was winning a lot of duels.
Yeah.
So for somebody his age, I know it's League Two, but players in League Two, that the men in League Two are still men. They're still the same size as the people in the Premier League. They're still strong. So he's starting to show that in our first team against harder opposition. So the parts of your game where you need to step up as a youngster, such as the physicality and stuff, he seems fine with it. So it's very positive.
Yeah. David says Paul's commentary today made the match more enjoyable, even with a loss. Thank you very much. Imagine being 6'5" in this weather, even closer to the sun. Yeah, I stayed indoors. Simon says the team that start the first half today will be the 11 versus Forest, except for Wilson, Maxey, and Target. In for Fraser, Dummett, and Wood.
I agree with that, 100%.
I'm still not sure. I think Pope will be in goal.
Oh,
I really do.
And that. I agree with that as well. I forgot about that. I keep forgetting about Pope.
Yeah. Troll says who wants Lascelles, Murphy, and Ritchie to start every game? We're getting mullered. Absolutely mullered. I mean, Lascelles even tackled Willock at one stage today, which was just incredible. I mean, just amazing. Desperate for somebody who can bang in 30-plus goals a season. We've got one in Callum Wilson, but he needs the right service. And quite frankly, some of the crossing today was nigh on dreadful. We didn't sort of pick out any strikers at all in that second half, especially. Tom says, for me, today emphasizes that a striker must be the priority. Lots of nice work, but no end product up front. Wood is as good up front as the commentator was on the mic. Look, I think we all know Chris Wood is just not good enough. But we can say that till the cows come home. And that's just the fact of it. He's not good enough, and he's never going to be. I mean, people were commenting on my, on the video after the match, just saying that Chris Wood may come good. Look what he's done with Joe Linton. Look what he's done with Emil Kraft. Chris Wood's past that. He's not going to improve. He is what he is. And if he is the backup for Callum Wilson this season, I think we're in big trouble if Callum Wilson gets injured. It's as simple as that. That's just my view. Andy says the ref was poor today. The Mainz player wasn't even a yard away from Trippier. Yeah, listen, the goal was a poor goal to concede. It was shocking, to be honest. I mean, Billy, did you think that maybe Dubravka could have come for that when the ball was played through?
Yeah, he should have obviously been way more alert. But originally, the error of Trippier was mad for England international to give the ref the referee should have blew up because the bloke wasn't 10 yards away and wasn't retreating. But you don't give the chance for the referee to not make that decision, in my opinion. You don't take the free kick when the bloke stood in front of you.
Yeah.
It was daft. It was really daft.
Absolutely.
So Trippier was mainly at fault for me, but Dubravka's concentration and alertness to kind of not watch what was going on, and he should have been out and he could have got that, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
I don't know about you guys. I thought Trippier was poor today. He gave the ball away on numerous occasions. Just didn't look like himself at all. Now, I'm not panicking because I know that the quality that Trippier's got. He just had an off day today. He was, for some reason, just all over the shop. Did some good things, but also did some poor things, and that's just the way it goes with friends.
He's nearly 32. I mean, he's not a young chicken anymore. It's not beyond the realms of possibilities. Is he over the top? I know that's a bit panic mongering, but you don't know, do you? But at least we've got a decent backup, because I thought Kraft was outstanding when he came on. Kraft
was brilliant when he came on. Absolutely superb again. He's really turned the corner, Emil Kraft, and it's great to see in a way. Barry Leng, thank you for your £5 super chat. Wood was a panic buy. Let's hope it's the last. 40 million including wages. What a waste. 25 million down the drain that we'll never get back. David said Mattis had comment, get rid of Amanda and Jamie. Stupid, probably Mackems. Yeah, look, if any Newcastle, they're not Newcastle fans if they said something like that. Absolutely no way in hell. Foxy says, how out? I knew it would take one pre-season defeat for delusion to start. Ridiculous. Exactly, mate. And, I did put under the comment that I thought he was talking absolute garbage. I cannot believe, somebody would actually come out with a comment like that saying, and then to suggest Pochettino. I mean, what's Pochettino won? Somebody tell me, because he's won nothing. I mean, yes, he's won the French league with PSG, but that's not exactly a challenge, is it? Just madness, man. Geordie Howe man says, I hate friendlies. Win one and we're going to win the league. Lose one and it's doom and gloom. I think people today, Alex, forgot that we were playing a Bundesliga side rather than a League One German side this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's case in point the fact that we had the same sort of problem in the first half on Friday against 1860. We were rubbish in the first half against them, and we had to bring on our quality to do that. Whereas the problem was with this match is we brought on a little bit of quality, and then we took off Bruno, we took off Joe Linton, we took off so much talent, and we were trying to chase the game with, because we were trying to I'd rather be chasing the game with Miggy than with Murphy, and that's proven because we did fine when it was the reverse situation the other day. I understand that the opponents were different, but it'll all be for a reason. It'll all be for the coaching staff to try different things, to rule out players, to include players.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, for anybody who's unsure, this is just my opinion. He's not testing that as like a plan or a starting lineup. Like, there's none of that. He's just trying different things. Depending on probably all the lads are at different levels of fitness. They're all monitored. They're at different stages. That's why some people are getting 30 minutes, some are getting 45, some are getting 60. It really just depends. Like, I wouldn't get too crazy about it. It's really not a problem. It's about ramping up for these harder fixtures now. So when we get to, probably when we finish, which one's the second match? Bilbao's the Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
After the final whistle against Bilbao, then we can start talking a bit more in sort of concluding. You've got to wait till these guys have had a bit of a preseason. And let's not forget, I think Mainz is starting the league soon, aren't they? I think this.
Yeah, I made a comment of that in commentary. I thought that the Bundesliga starts a little bit earlier than the Premier League. Obviously, all the leagues are starting around the same time, but I think they're a week ahead or something.
So they've ramped up towards the end of their preseason.
Yeah.
And I thought, all things considered, the intensity we showed in the first half, considering we've only just started our preseason, it's fine. We've just got to get our best 11 on the pitch. The problem is when certain individuals from our best 11 get injured. That's our current problem. And we could obviously do with somebody better than Miggy to be the starting right wing. That's the most important.
I mean, I'm just really inspired by Elliot Anderson. I just think, for what he's done in not so much the first game, he was in and out of the Munich game, but today, just his drive, his determination, just a solid player, who I think can do a job in a number 10 role quite easily. It's the composure he showed when he was on the ball. He wasn't afraid to hit a shot, albeit it went straight to the keeper, but he wasn't afraid to do it. I just thought he was outstanding and really, really exciting prospect. And he says, genuinely, a striker would do you a world of good. Callum Wilson can't particularly be trusted with his injury record, even with how much you want to believe otherwise. Anderson is good, but needs a loan. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that, Annie. I don't think he needs a loan. I think he's ready. But, we don't see behind the scenes, I guess. We don't see him training every day. But, we'll just have to wait and see what Eddie decides. Now, I did make a promise many, many moons ago that I would, and I took some flack for it, that I hadn't tasted this. And tonight I have a bottle of it. It has been stored in the fridge all day. It is freezing cold. And I'm now going to open it and have a taste. For the first time in my life, I'm going to taste Newcastle Brown Ale. Now, Billy, being a connoisseur of brown ale, what am I to expect when I take my first taste?
Oh, it's just very smooth. It's very smooth. It's cold. As soon as it hits the back of your throat, you'll like it. It's beautiful. Right.
Okay. Well, I am going to open it with the Toon Review bottle opener. Just plug it there. And let's just see how well it opens the bottle. Oh, magnificently. Bottle open. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Who's thirsty?
Close, that's going down well.
Oh. Oh. Wow.
Nice, isn't it?
That hit the spot. How have I never tasted this before?
Oh, you have now.
Wow. Okay. There you go. It's bloody nice. I think I'll be drinking that from now on. That's good shit. Good shit. Carlos says he's just had a siesta. And says, just thought the ref was terrible and they kicked our players and got away with it. Did you see how many fouls they did on us? Also, we should have had the free kick brought back when they scored a goal.
They should have.
Sorry,
yeah,
I've just been distracted again by another Susan text.
They should have, but you don't give the referee the chance not to make that decision, do you? It was daft of Trippier to do that, to be honest.
Do you think it was a league game, though, he would have pulled it back?
No, certainly. Certainly. Yeah.
He would have done a lot more if it was a league game.
Yeah.
I was complaining in the comments about that in the watch along. He ruined the last half an hour, completely ruined it. So there was maybe 10, 12 fouls in the last 20 to 30 minutes that they were just too aggressive and there needed to be more bookings. He wasn't taking care of player safety. The game had just gone to bits. And it's ridiculous because
there was one on Emil Kraft, Alex. I don't know where you saw it in the second half. The ball had gone. Oh, it was sickening.
But it makes no sense because Mainz don't benefit from that because they will be punished for that in league games. So that doesn't help them practice see-out games and see out a 1-0 lead because they can't actually do that in a real league game because they will get caned for it. And then it doesn't help us because, again, that wouldn't happen against us in a real league game either because the fouls would actually get called a bit more and they would get accumulated yellow cards and the ref would, So it kind of destroyed. That's the whole point in the friendly is you want to try and learn. And Mainz didn't get to learn much about them, how they can act defensively, and we didn't. It was a bit silly. The officiating was extremely poor in that second half. It was awful.
Yep, I agree. Another £5 from Barry Lang. Thank you very much, Barry. I was really impressed with Elliot Anderson. They got to keep him in the squad. Loved your commentary, Paul. Thank you very much. How's my sound coming through?
Yeah, it's fine.
Good. Okay. Annie says, those are just my thoughts from an outside perspective. Reminder that I'm not a Newcastle fan, just a friend. Oh, bless him. Kenneth says, I'm sorry, guys, but Matt Ritchie is not a fullback. He's a left winger.
Midfielder.
He shouldn't be anything.
Well, technically, yeah, he shouldn't. He's not a Premier League player anymore for me. But he's obviously the one thing that worries me about Eddie Howe, right? Is, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I just think the comments he made about Lascelles earlier yesterday, and obviously I did a video on that earlier on. I do not think Jamal Lascelles should be captain, no matter what he's like behind the scenes, right? If your captain is not guaranteed to be in the starting lineup most of that season, you should not be captain of that football club, because a captain leads by example on the pitch as well. You can talk about him being, a leader off the pitch, but on the pitch. But we're lucky in a way because we've got other leaders on the pitch as well. The likes of Trippier, Callum Wilson, Shelvey to a point, Bruno to another point. Players who, Fabian Schär, all good experienced players who will lead on the pitch, whether they've got the armband or not. But for me, it sends out the wrong message. I just think sometimes we need to see a bit of ruthlessness. Players have got by the last few years, under the previous regime with everything's been easy for them. There's been no cutthroat decisions made and things like that. And I just think this was the perfect time to tell Jamal, unfortunately, we're changing the skipper. It's going to somebody else, but we expect you to fully support it as a Newcastle United football player. I just think sometimes it needs to be a bit more cutthroat. I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised by it all, but we don't know the influence that Jamal has in that dressing room, do we? And I'm guessing it's 100% down to that because, as you say, he's our fourth choice centre half at best.
Yeah,
hardly going to play. Bit like Mark Noble was at West Ham last year. He's getting minutes here and there, sympathy minutes if you like. I'm not sure, but he must have a massive influence within the dressing room. that Eddie thinks it's worth it to give him the club captaincy. That's a strange one. Kilcline was the same, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, it happened with Kilcline as well, yeah. J. Clough Jr., thank you for your £4.49. There's no comment there, but thank you very much for your donation to the channel. Really appreciate that, mate. Alex, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I'm less bothered by it. I'm funny when it comes to captains. I infamously, I don't think, obviously Shearer was one of our most famous captains, one of the most famous captains in English football. But I don't think strikers should be captains. I think captains need to be further back on the pitch to see the picture. I don't think goalkeepers should be captains either. I think it needs to be somewhere in defence or in the central midfield. But that's by the by. To be honest, I don't care. I'm not as bothered by it because I think he's not going to play that many minutes. We have the leaders on the pitch anyway. I think it's to keep the harmony in the dressing room. I'm not as fussed. I would much prefer the focus was on him actually trying to improve as a footballer.
Fair enough. I just, there's two sides to the coin on this. Obviously, there's, like I've just said before, players who are experienced on that pitch that I named before. I think, we've got various captains on the pitch and their experience will come in massively. So in a way, it doesn't really matter. But I think, sometimes I'd just like to see he's not good enough. Simple as that. I mean,
do you remember before the January transfer window, we were crying out for a leader on the pitch? We didn't have any. And now we've got about 4 or 5, and it seems okay that our captain isn't going to play. That's how far we've come, I guess. Yeah.
I also want to talk about Joe Willock. Now, he missed when Emil Kraft pulled the ball back for him. Very wispy shot again, no conviction. He took his goal the other day really well, really a lot of conviction in that. And then he goes and does that today, which, Willock's one of these players that is certainly in and out. I mean, what sort of season do you think he's going to have, Alex?
It's very difficult to say. He's very hot cold as a player. He can be rubbish for 15 minutes. And then for the next 5, he'll give you 3 marauding runs and a few shots on target, and he'll be incredible. And then it will go back to anonymous, not challenging for the ball, and it's bizarre. It's very odd. He's the sort of player that thrives on fitness, on energy, on driving runs, on sort of late game. So I'll try not to give too much sort of an opinion on him until we've given him the time for pre-season.
Yeah.
But it still is a little hot and cold at the moment. So hopefully that sorts itself out.
Yano says, Anderson outstanding. Really? What did he do? Bruno was outstanding. Yano, I suggest you go and watch that second half again, mate. To be honest, he was outstanding. Some of the things he did with the football, I think you need to take a close look at how he played. Actually study him, because I watched him very closely and he was outstanding. Robert says, with Maxi cutting in, Fraser, Murphy lacking, and Miggy Moore at 10, should we gear towards formations without wingers? It's a good point. If we don't bring anybody else in at right wing, does he need to look at another formation? Just talking on Bruno, by the way. Yes, Bruno was magnificent today yet again. Did you see that move in the first half where he spun that midfielder as if he wasn't there, kind of nutmegged him, and almost got a lovely ball through for Chris Wood? I mean, absolutely, the guy is just a genius with the football. It's as simple as that.
He has everything. I've said it a million times before. Anything you want from a midfield player, he's got every single quality. And as I said before, most world-class midfielders have 2 or 3.
Yep.
He's got all of them, which is amazing. Not
Interesting.
very often.
Interesting question from Simon. He says, here's a choice, Anderson or Longstaff in midfield. Which one would you pick first?
Alex?
Very
different players.
They are, yeah.
Very, very different players. Longstaff was fairly good at certain things today. He was very sharp with his passing, his moving into space. He seems to be improving a lot in terms of like his positional awareness. He's getting a bit more intelligent. He looks like he's learning football. He looks like he's learning a lot. He's coming back in defence. He was dropping next to centre backs. He was doing a lot. He just failed a little bit more creatively his through balls and the link ups further up the pitch weren't clicking at all today, unfortunately. But it's difficult to compare them because Longstaff plays on the right and is a very different player to Anderson, who was sort of playing as a sort of a high 8 but a winger driving runs. They're very, very different players. Very, very different. And then we don't have to choose between one or the other because Anderson doesn't take up a squad slot, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Brozier looks like he's heading to West Ham. That looks all done and dusted pretty much. I thought it was Trippier's fault for the goal. It was a dreadful free kick. Passed the ball quite badly at times. He had an off day today. Dubravka should have been off his line. I think I made a sort of post. I made a comment during the match, during the watch along, that I thought, Nick Pope probably would have come out for that because Nick Pope would have been way off his line because he's a sweeper keeper. That's what Nick Pope is very good at. Is if you watch him, he's very good at studying the game, and any balls that are played long, he's out in a flash. And I think he would have been aware to that situation. Dubravka is not a sweeper keeper, therefore he is more of a stay back, if you like, and he doesn't commit himself too much to going outside the box. Very rarely will you see Dubravka do that. So it's different styles for different keepers. But look, at the end of the day, we shouldn't have lost the ball in the position we did. It put us in trouble straight away. And of course, how many times did we say that last season? Jules says, just realised new headphones, Paul. Yes, I got rid of the Manchester United colours. I was sick of the abuse I was getting from Alex. So I've gone to practically black and white. I mean, the black and grey, but you know what I mean. They're very comfortable on the earlobes, though. So yeah. Jamie says, you think during the Atalanta game we could strike talks with Zapata? I've had this thought for a while now. You never know. I Like Coffee says, Mainz had 2 blocked shots in the second half too after a brilliant low cross. Yeah, well, that's the one that Richie should have done a lot better with, in fairness. But look, Botman got in the way of the first one. Shea got in the way of the second one. Absolutely brilliant defending. So yeah, really, really pleased with the way they played again today, to be honest. And I have a feeling, guys, he's played them the first 2 games together. I think that's our centre-back starting lineup for Forest. I really do. I think he goes with Botman and Shea.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I know everybody loves Dan Burn. I love Dan Burn. But there is a difference when you watch Botman play left-sided centre-back and when you watch Burn. There is a difference.
Yeah.
You can see there's a step up in quality with Botman, with the passing range. Granted, Burn might have a little bit more experience and awareness for certain situations, but there is just a little bit more quality there with the playing out from the back, the long passing, and he actually stepped up into midfield a couple of times and nicked the ball with interceptions. He's very, very talented. So
Shah did that. They both did that, and they're both very good at that by the looks of things. Reading the game, reading when to step up, and sometimes Dan Burn does read it, but when he steps up, he's not quite quick enough and commits a foul.
Excellent backup. Like to have somebody like him not starting is
tremendous.
Very, very good.
Yeah. And listen, he'll get plenty games. There's no doubt about that. But I think the starting pair is going to be, because look, Shea puts himself in situations where he can pick up injuries very, very easily. But we'll see. Kraft was awesome. Yeah, he was. I was really, really pleased with him. Every time I see him now, I've got more confidence in him. And he covered Phil Lascelles twice, by the way, in that second half. I don't know whether you guys noticed. Lascelles was just
nearly
daydreaming again.
Robbed as the last man as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we can talk about that all night, and it's just nothing is going to change.
Kraft as well. Murphy wasn't very supportive defensively, so Kraft had got one in front and one behind to sort of cover for. He was covering for everybody. Bless him. He did very well considering.
He's turning into the Swedish Cafu, as John Sinclair used to say. Hi, Paul, Billy, and Alex. I've said it when his name was first mentioned, and now everybody must agree Chris Wood not even good enough for the bench. We do need a striker ahead or equal to Wilson. A younger Chris Wood at the top of his game would get 10 goals a season. We got an older Chris Wood and a team that's not built around him to supply headed goals. Dwight Gale or Wood?
Neither.
Dwight Gale. It's pointless even comparing Dwight Gale because Dwight Gale is not even in the reckoning. He's not in the plans. He's not going to be around. He's training with the under-23s, until he moves. So it's pointless even comparing the two. People spouting how out need to get a grip of whoever they are. Well, they're not out. They're not proper fans, are they? Glenn would rather have Pocahontas than Pochettino. Roma signing Dybala was a great scoop. Hope we can mimic that kind of transfer. Yeah, brilliant signing for Roma, that. Cesare says, poor transfer window. We only got a CEO and a director of football. What a travesty. Yeah, listen, I'm sick of seeing people say, oh, if we don't get this player in, it's a poor window. I don't know what people really expected from this summer, whether they thought we were going to, change the whole squad, buy like 10 players in and just totally dismantle the squad. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. That's why they've brought in Darren Eales. That's why they've brought in Dan Ashworth, because they're going to build from the bottom upwards and build out in. And it's just going to be fantastic. But people have to have the patience, because things aren't going to change overnight. And they need to get a grip, these fans, and think, we're having a poor transfer window. Are we shite? Right? That squad that we finished with last season was 4th in the league. If you go from January, 4th in the league. So we're not all, it's not all that bad. And now we've added Botman, we've added Nick Pope, and we've added Matt Target on a permanent basis. Where is the crisis?
We do need some offensive players, though.
Yeah, of course we do. But there shouldn't be the blind panic, Billy. That's all I'm saying.
No,
there's plenty of time left in the window. And if we don't get anybody this window, January will be just around the corner because of the World Cup. So, it baffles me, some of the Newcastle fans, the way the kind of starting to get the expectation of Man United fans. We should be doing this and we should be doing that. We shouldn't expect anything. Just progress. Spider says, can anyone help me understand why Maxi is wearing so many bandages? It's like jewelry on him. He keeps putting more on. Anyone say mummy? He would be a bit quicker without them. I didn't quite understand the amount of bandages he had on his legs today, but I guess that's just Maxi. He didn't have any bandages on Friday, and then he comes today looking like the mummy. So, I don't know.
No, it could be kinesthetic tape. It could be supports. It could be fashion. It could be from the physios. Who knows? Not sure.
Definitely. Right, Alex. We'll move to the transfers, and the first player is Sikumara.
Yeah. So I'll hop over to his sofa score so you can see what he looks like. Although he doesn't actually look like that right now. He's changed his hair. So Sikumara. We've been linked with for the last few days. I think, was it Saturday? Friday or Saturday, the links started appearing. Mm-hmm. So I'm quite lucky with this because I watched pretty much all of the Toulon tournament when I was sort of doing the apartment in Poland. I watched all of it. Watched all but 2 of the France games.
Yeah.
For obviously for Ekitike and Munoz. So I saw this kid a lot. Very, very, very good. Obviously, it was in a youth tournament, but he looked brilliant. He looked a cut above the rest. He looked a cut above his own teammates. Obviously, Ekitike is a different kind of player. And he looked great. Absolutely ripped up that tournament. So we'll have a look at that in a second. But so 900 minutes, 6 goals in Bordeaux. So I need to preface this by explaining that Bordeaux got relegated. They conceded 91 goals in 38 league games. Wow. And they got relegated to Ligue 2. And then because of financial irregularities, they got an administrative relegation on top of that. So they've been double relegated. They are in the 3rd tier of French football. So for this kid to do as well as he's done in what I can only describe as, well, I don't know, Paul's probably better at inserting some sort of phrase into that. But
absolute bollocks.
They were awful. They were crap. 6 goals from 900 minutes is very, very tidy, very young, literally about to turn 20, so still extremely young. 6 foot 11 stone, good physicality already. He's not even 20, so that's absolutely fine. Right-footed as a forward, so this is him against the big boys in Europe. Interesting numbers, but it's difficult to kind of pick out exactly how he would play in a slightly more, well, a team that's not going to concede 91 goals in a season. So, but even in that mess, there's still quite a lot of interesting things here. with 3.58 shots per 90, which is pretty absurd. A lot of stat people all over Twitter, including myself, we all keep talking about how we need to probably aim for about 15 more goals this season. We need to increase our shot volume is not great. So we do need to increase that if we want to get more goals. And this kid, for his age, is taking a lot of shots. 3.5 shots per game from just the one player is tidy. If you're getting a few of them on target, then very, very handy. Pressures as well, extremely high, very energetic. I think kind of your Ekitikas and around that are all sort of around 18, 19 pressures per 90. So he's sort of 4 pressures additionally on top of those kinds of players. So he's extremely athletic, energetic. If we look at his similar players, so we've got some funny names in here that I kind of don't agree. I mean, Rafamir is an interesting one. Skamaka, who's been linked with everybody. He doesn't play like Giroud. That's odd. Obviously, sometimes this can be skewed because if they're like defensive statistics match up with somebody, So, and then if we go and have a look at, here he is here on his SOFA score. So as a striker, still valued very low. Some of the articles that were coming out with the links on sort of Friday, Saturday, where I think they were saying 15 million. I don't know whether that was euros or pounds, somewhere about that. Obviously, his online sort of valuations are a lot lower than that. They're all around sort of 1 to 2 million euros. So if we scroll down, this was his little Toulon tournament that he did where they absolutely caned it and they won it quite comfortably.
Yep, they did.
2 goals and an assist against Mexico, 2 goals against Argentina, a goal against Saudi Arabia. So he was absolutely banging them in for the youth teams. And they were, and let's also recognise the fact that the under 20s for France were playing against under 23s of a lot of other nations as well. And then for his club, towards the back end of the season, when he was getting more minutes, when their relegation was confirmed, 2 goals on the final day of the season. They actually won 4-2. Managed to bag a goal in a 4-1 loss as well. And just they had an absolute shocker. They really did. They had a shocker towards the end of the season. Well, the whole season. So they kind of lined up a little bit like this in a funny wing-back system. That's what they were playing for most of the season. This guy is probably going to leave. Most of these players that have got any value are going to disappear. So I would imagine Seko Mara is going to go somewhere because he's not going to play in the 3rd tier of French football because he's good. Yep. So maybe we shouldn't go too much more into it now, and because it's still quite soft links. So if his name pops up again and we get a bit more substance in the links, we can dig a bit deeper.
Yeah.
But for now, he's, what did I say? 11 stone, 6 foot, right-footed striker, 6 goals from 900 minutes. Very young, fairly cheap, very energetic. Could be a nice, cheap backup young option for Callum Wilson. Yeah, I'd probably play him ahead of Chris Wood as well. Would be a very interesting signing. And having watched him a lot with my own eyes, I thought he was incredible in that youth tournament. So I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, we saw more of him than we did Ekiteke when we watched this. We did the watch along.
And it was really impressive.
What do you reckon, Bill?
Yeah, really impressive. So the game against Mexico was outstanding. Best player on the pitch by a country mile. Yeah, absolutely. But I'd be quite happy to have him as a backup and obviously building him for his future because he's not the fully fledged full material yet. But God, he's got some future ahead of him, as from what I saw in that one game. Granted, but he was outstanding in that game. Absolutely outstanding.
He's certainly somebody that could come into the squad and do really well. He'll certainly be a squad player to start with, but again, let's just wait and see what happens with the links. I mean, it's not guaranteed that he's coming. Nope. He's just been linked, but he's somebody to certainly keep an eye on. Absolutely magnificent, gorgeous beverage. Get it down your neck, big lad. Delightful brew. How are the lads? Novix is not certain if there's still a award at St. Nick's Hospital that was just for Newcastle Brunel. Who knows? In the Toon in a month, but it's away to Brighton, says Stu. Rachel, not memorized by the mic tonight. Shame. No, I won't be using it all the time. This is my main mic, the Elgato one, so this is what I bought it for. But they're both good mics, and they both got good sound, so they make my voice sound very deep as a radio presenter on Sunrise FM, New York City. know why I did that, but, never mind. Geordie Howayman says, my first brown ale, I ended up sleeping in the bath. I was 16. Oh, dear.
I'm just going to sort my dog out because she's a bit too hot and she's crying. So 1 second.
Okay. Neil says, Elliot Anderson, what a baller, what a future ahead of us. Cesare, what happened to your LGBT, Mike Paul? It was pretty. Shut up, Ches. Who thinks Wood is an upgrade to Dwight Gale? I'm just interested, if I'm alone, in wondering if Gale with better passes wouldn't score more than Wood. I want new strikers to replace both. I mean, look, Billy, it's quite clear. We know that Wood isn't good enough. I'm particularly sick of balls coming up to him and he just can't control them. And it gets to the stage where I notice some of the players when they get the head up, he's not even making runs. He's just staying central. You look at Callum Wilson. As soon as like Bruno or Shelby looks up, they know that Wilson's going to be going on a run somewhere, and they pick the pass. But with Wood not doing that, we become a very static team and have to either go sideways or backwards.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the ball's his enemy at the moment. He just can't control a football. So it doesn't matter how hard it's passed to him, how soft it's passed to him. Excuse me. He has no nous either for centre forward. He just doesn't sense where the ball's going to go, where we can cause danger. Yeah, he looks a really poor signing. Really poor, really, really poor. Yeah, he's lower league. The strikers we've had over the years, he's near the bottom, very near. Unfortunately.
Apocalyptic Workshop says Shah deserves to be captain. Maybe they're afraid to hurt locker room cohesion. Look, I think, listen, these guys are professional footballers, right? And they know how the game works. And all these comments about, he doesn't want to upset the dressing room. Sometimes you have to. Do you think Alec Ferguson turned around and said, I better not say that to that player just in case I upset the dressing room? Of course he didn't. Wenger the same. These top managers, Mourinho, Guardiola, do you think they think to themselves, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that decision because I'll upset the guys in the dressing room? No, because it's their fucking job to do it. These guys are professional footballers getting paid a fortune. And if they take the sulk because a captain isn't the captain anymore, then it's a load of bollocks. These guys are professional football. Don't talk to me about upsetting the camaraderie in the dressing room. It's only the captaincy, man. For God's sake, it beggars belief, because I know for a fact that these top-class managers wouldn't dare turn around and think, I'm not making that decision because I don't want to upset them. How many times did Ferguson make critical decisions that would have probably upset people? Getting rid of Roy Keane, getting rid of Jaap Stam, getting rid of Van Nistelrooy. All this. Do you think he was bothered about what would say in the dressing room? Come on. Football is a cutthroat business, and we know it is. And, sometimes these decisions have to be made for the benefit of the team. Jamal Lascelles staying captain is not for the benefit of this football club. Bottom line. Anyway.
I mean, he could be Eddie Howe's enforcer, if you like. The link between players and staff. Yep. It's strange how every manager that's been there while he's been there has had him as a captain. He must have something about him.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
Adam says, if Lascelles isn't going this transfer window, why upset? Why upset the dressing room?
But it might not be that. People are just saying the cliche phrase. It might not be upset. It's not about balance and harmony. It's about what Billy said. Maybe he is actually really good behind the scenes, which is why all these managers keep keeping him as captain. It might,
I don't mind that. If he is, then, like you say, make him some sort of liaison between the players and the coach. But he doesn't have to be captain to do that. A captain should, you look at the really magnificent captains down the line. You look at Vieira's, the Keanes of this world. Come on. Jesus. I don't give a shit about dressing room morale. This is just the captaincy. And if these players take the sulk, then it says more about how scared the players are than anything else. If that's their attitude, that they're going to, I'll take the huff if you take the captaincy off Jamal Lascelles. Give me a friggin' break, man. Jesus. Yes, but unfortunately, we cannot get rid of crap all at once. A good point. Book it months before the fixtures, took a punt and lost. I'm not sure what he's on about there. What Lascelles is like in the dressing room is irrelevant. He's a poor excuse for a footballer.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, a captain is supposed to be able to play football, and he can't. There's a lot of leaders on the pitch without the armband.
He's done it before. We know he can do it.
He's past it now, Billy. I'm sorry. He is. He had his good times. Listen, flog him to Forest or something like that. Geordie Howeman says, when we concede, I immediately look at the players and see which ones are G'ing up the team. Lascelles is way too quiet. Now, I've made that point numerous times over the last couple of seasons. When we concede, you look at who's G'ing the players up, saying, "All right, come on, we've conceded. Let's not worry too much about it. Let's get back in the game." Lascelles isn't one of them players.
It's generally his fault the goal got in there. That's why.
Well, that's a good point, Billy. Yes, yeah. So he can't really do that. But it's Abdullah Ram. Hello to Saudi Arabia. I hope you're well. Novik says, "See, we had another classic from Paul this afternoon in the watch along." Maybe. I know. I think I mentioned a feather at one stage. I can't think of anything else. I don't know.
Might have been their number 6 who kept falling over. Bruno went in for a 50-50 with him, and he looked like he'd been shot.
Alex, who was Jamal Lascelles marking on Friday?
No idea.
He doesn't even know himself, Jamal Lascelles.
Lachen, machen, backen, machen. Oh, dear. I would rather see Pinocchio up front as opposed to Wood. It's too late for Lascelles to improve, in my opinion, says Rachel. Two sides to the Lascelles coin. Tails is shit, heads is shit. I agree. Can't say that Alex Shearer was a great captain being a striker.
I can say that. That's my opinion. I think he was a great captain and a great striker at the same time. You 100%, you're right. But generally, it's better to have your captain who can see the whole pitch, in my opinion. Shearer is an anomaly. You don't often get people who can do that.
I don't think a goalkeeper is a good position for a captain at all, because I think, for me, a captain, middle of the park, knows what's going on around him, can see the whole pitch, gets a general idea.
There's no need for a goalkeeper to be a captain either, because they've got their own job, because they need to be calling out instructions to the defenders to organise the wall and this, that, and the other. They've got a lot of other things that they have to organise vocally. So it needs to be a centre-back or a midfielder who they can see everything, and it just makes more sense. Like, yeah, Shearer was an amazing captain, but most players can't do that. Like, I mean, it's Shearer. He was incredible.
I mean, we're looking at Lascelles. He may get better. He may improve training with the likes of Shea, Botman, Dan Burn, etc. But I'm not sure I can see that happening. Dunk, thank you very much for your £5 super chat. He says, glad you like the El Brunel, Paul. Have a few more on me. A very good evening to you also. Thank you very much, Dunk. Really appreciate that. Dan says, Shelby's shot made me laugh. Had so much time to position himself and still skied it. Accuracy still on holiday. I thought he should have took a touch there. I mean, he had loads of time just to control the ball and hit it. But
still, what about that little one-touch volley pass he played over the top of that player?
Oh, tremendous. Beautiful. Yeah. But Chris Wood's shot is still on the way to the space station. I think he's sent a signed football from Newcastle United up to the space station.
The one he sliced wide and he tried to claim a corner. It was that.
Do you know what? People were saying, it was a poor ball in from Trippier. Like, all he had to do was control that with his left foot and just curl it in the bottom corner with his right.
Could have shot
or am I missing something? Or he could have took it on his left.
Yeah.
I think some people...
I don't expect him to score. He just needs to start getting him on target, because then at least you've got the opportunity for a fumble or a rebound or a follow-up. He just doesn't even get them on target, and it doesn't give anybody any chances. It's just useless.
Yeah, I agree. Bruno can thread a needle with his eyes closed. Absolutely. Don't send Anderson on loan, says Chris. Worth his place. Ken says, hi, Paul. My grandma was a brown ale drinker. My granddad, was a brown ale drinker all his life. He would turn in his grave to see drinking out of the bottle, always out of a schooner. What the hell's a schooner or a schooner?
It's a glass, isn't it?
Why can't you drink it out the bottle? I've seen Billy drinking it out the bottle.
I'll drink out of the bottle when I'm down the club. I must be honest.
I mean, it's quite nice out the bottle. Listen, everybody their own. I don't want to drink it out of a glass. I like to drink my beers out of bottles. I always have.
If I put brown ale in a bottle in a glass, it goes down too quick, way too quick.
Yeah, and then you end up with a very sore head, Billy.
Mm.
Jacques says, would you guys have Anderson on the right wing? I think he has more to offer than what we have in that position already, and his ball control was miles better than Miggy today.
I thought Miggy did okay today. I'll be, if I'm being honest.
I thought Miggy did all right. Again, not brilliant, but he did all right. But we just need an out-and-out player in that position who plays there.
I mean, their left back kicked fuck out of him. Let's be honest, he should have been booked in the first half.
Yeah,
but it made a difference because every time we've seen Miggy recently, he's been with Wilson and Maxi. As soon as we see him with the others, it was visibly worse. And every time he was trying to do it on his own and take a 1-2, he was getting clattered by their left back. So there wasn't a lot he could have done about that, really.
Yeah. Bede makes a point here about Paqueta. Now, I did hear this earlier on this afternoon, but it wasn't from Robbie from AFTV. But apparently, Leon are looking for just £34 million for Paqueta.
How does he know that?
No, I'd heard that as well. It was
Don Robbie. Yeah, no, that's wow. Mate. I mean, Arsenal are interested in him, aren't they?
Well, so. I heard it from a different source, but nobody will know until a club agrees. But if it is 34 million, then I would suggest we get in there bloody quickly.
Well, I've seen about 100 things today. Well, whenever anybody's mentioned Paqueta anywhere online, there's always one who goes, "Oh, but we don't need a midfielder." He's quite versatile. All right, I'm really bored of explaining that. We've had graphics out, boards. He's literally played in various positions for Leon. It's fine. It's fine.
David makes a good point here. Regardless of what striker we give, we need to improve the supply from the forward, midfield, and the wings. 100%. I mean, those crosses today were shambolic. Let's be honest; they were terrible. They didn't give either Chris Wood or Callum Wilson any opportunity. I thought, Callum Wilson did get in once in the second half, but that wasn't through a cross. He was pushed a bit wide and ended up smashing it off the keeper's face. That was a tough one for the keeper to deal with, but he dealt with it well. But listen, the crosses, there was no opportunities for headers. And Billy, we're looking at the same thing, beating the first man.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, Fraser was very poor as well, wasn't he? I mean, he didn't get any crosses in really. The full backs didn't really get them in, either Richie or Dummett. Trippier got a few in, but again, the centre forward was tightly marked or wasn't anywhere near the ball. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if we have a better strike, if we'd have had Callum Wilson that first half, I think we'd scored 2 or 3. So I think Chris Wood makes the through balls and crosses look worse than what they actually are, to be quite fair.
Yeah, I think Fraser needs calling out as well.
Absolutely.
Everybody loves Fraser, but I said this at the end of last season. How long is it until how long can he survive on just energy? Oh, but he always puts in a shift.
The disappointment thing, Alex, was the crosses. He had opportunities to cross the ball today and didn't. He turned back and he laid it off to Dummett.
I didn't like his movement either. I thought he made Dummett look worse because he was doing that predictable 1-2, but he did the same run every single time, just a straight flat run off the 1-2 with Dummett. And he was never available. He never tried to. That part, Dummett couldn't give it back to him because it was blocked every time. It wasn't an option. He just made himself. He was just never available. The only times Fraser looked okay was when there was some strange turnover or Bruno was doing magic things, and he had a bit of space to run into. And there was a few times where he did that and he drove nicely, and then a few times where he ran into players for like a really weird 50-50 and the ball would just go everywhere. It wasn't just about his crossing; it was everything beyond behind that as well.
And out of all the players, he looks the least fit. 10 minutes into the game, he was blowing, probably blowing.
I did make a point of that. I said that during the commentary. I said he's blown, but I made a comment about him being a little Jack Russell. But they make a little sprint and then they look like they're knackered. But he genuinely looked knackered.
Last season he struggled with this. When everybody was praising him, I had to stay quiet. But there was like a 5 or 6 game period when he would have to come off after 70 minutes every single game. He couldn't finish a match, and that's fine. We've got 5 subs next year. That helps, but he needs to be fitter and he needs to be a little bit more, especially for his age. He's not a young winger. He needs to be a bit more intelligent with his runs. He can't just do a flat run because your fullback's got no. You need to give people options.
Absolutely. Sean, thank you for your 99p super sticker, matey. Very, very kind. Thank you for your donation to the channel. Barbara says the only exciting thing about the game was Paul's commentary. Just loved it. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. To the people who say how out, I'd just like to say I think it's very good that we only lost 1-0 to a team who were contending for Europe last season. I think that shows a lot of progress. Now, given it was only our third preseason game, and people have been making comments saying, "Oh, the Bundesliga kicks off the same time as the Premier League." Yes, but their season kicks off the season a week earlier because they play in the DFB Pokal. The cup kicks off before the season starts. So
Isn't
their
that a
season
club?
starts. Sorry?
Isn't that a club? Somebody
Who?
thought it was a club. Do you remember?
Oh, God, yeah. So they're playing the cup competition a week before the Bundesliga starts. So, yeah, they are ahead of us. Anthony says the best transfer window we've had for 14 years, and there's complaining. It's madness. Look, we knew this was coming. We knew that there would be people who would be complaining. It seems to go with the flow. You know, we've been accused many times of being a negative channel and always thinking of reasons to be negative. But I think we've been one of the most positive ones out there, saying, give us time, and Rome wasn't built in a day. A squad wasn't hatched out of eggs.
And let's not forget, we spent 7 months chasing after a player that was never going to come here.
Yeah.
Mr. Ekiteke, who was going to be our backup striker. So maybe
but we also signed a player who was never coming to Newcastle in Sven Botman, who apparently wanted to go to AC Milan, but has since come out and said Newcastle was always his, take it with a pinch of salt, but he said that exactly what we said the owners would say to him about the ambition and where this club's going and the project. He wants to be part of it.
I'm not critical of the club saying about Ekiteke, by the way. It's the fact he fucked.
No, Ekiteke, that whole thing was a sudden disaster because, it'd be very interesting to see where Ekiteke ends up, to be honest, and how he does this season. Just, am I in focus there?
Yep, you're fine.
That's all right.
There's a Nuki Brown kicking in.
Man.
There's a Nuki Brown kicking in.
No, it's just bloody hot, man. I'm sweating like a moose. Yano says, panel, are you disappointed that we have given contracts to Dummett and Longstaff? Be honest, guys, you must have been hoping for better. Billy?
No and no. I think Paul Dummett is a fantastic reserve left-back and can play centre-half also. And I think Sean Longstaff showed enough in the past 5 or 6 games last season to earn himself a new contract.
Alex?
Yeah, well, we can't turn over a 25-man squad like in 2 seasons. This is the third? No, this is their second window. Like, this is their second window. Like, it's impossible. And I think Dummett is what? Is it a 2-year contract extension? So the Dummett one, I could be wrong with that. I think it's 2. Because Shah's was 2 as well. Which is fine. We needed cover. We got cover. And then as for Longstaff, it's more about the potential. It's the fact that we do need bodies, we need options, and there does seem to be some potential there as well. People may disagree, but I've said this recently a few times. He is up to the 96th percentile for pressures per 90 in midfield, so he's in the top 4% in Europe for pressures now. And this is where the stats are still including all the back end games where he was crap. So the fact that that's very impressive, very, very impressive. There's a few, his tackles have gone up as well. So there's no reason to suggest he can't keep progressing a little bit more. It's fine. We can't turn this whole squad over in 2 transfer windows. It's absurd. That's why we need, we'll need 6 to 8 transfer windows, which is why we've got Share here for 2 more years. We need all these people here. We can't just go and buy a whole new team. That's not how it works. FFP, yes, we're pretty flexible with it, but it does exist. And if we do take the mick, then we know damn well the Premier League and everybody else is going to do everything in their power to try and throw the book at us and penalise us for things. So we do have to be careful. We can't just go nuts.
Interesting. Right. We have another player, and that is Kalimuendo.
Yeah, so his name popped up a little bit last week. So the reason why I've gone back to him is more because obviously Ekitike has just signed for PSG. So this guy is PSG. Obviously he was on loan at Lens, but he is a PSG player. So the fact that they've just signed another young striker, I mean, everybody's joking about Ekitike is only going to make the bench. Well, this poor guy is not even going to travel with the team. So he has to go somewhere. It kind of fits that profile. We keep looking at young, talented, prospect French strikers. It fits the bill. We've been linked with him once before. Obviously, Leeds were linked with him as well. And it's interesting to look at because he's not going to get a look in at PSG. It's very likely he's going to disappear somewhere, whether it's on loan or permanently. So for people who haven't seen this guy before, yeah, he's been on loan at Lens for the previous 2 seasons. So he's done 2 years at Lens, and he's still very young. He's only 20 and a bit. So to have had 2 full seasons in Ligue 1 is very, very good. So right-footed at 6'10", 6'10", 5'10". That's bloody tall. 160 pounds, which is what is he's like 10, 11 and a half stone, 12 stone. So he's pretty physical, and he looks like it on the pitch as well. He looks quite strong. Slightly outperformed his XG, so 12 goals from 9.4 XG. Played a lot of minutes as well for a young kid. 2,100 minutes is, considering we've mentioned that Sean Longstaff is getting 1,400 per season-ish. He's never got more than that apart from his Blackpool days. So this guy's getting way more minutes at a senior league. If we look at stats, a little bit different to how Seko Mara was profiling. Obviously, Seko Mara was getting like 3.5 shots per game, which is pretty bonkers. But 2.5 is still okay for shot volume, considering he's still young. This game can change a bit and develop. Outrageously tidy on the ball, like that's rather absurd for a striker to be completing nearly 83% of their passes. Progressive passes received as well, and so essentially, he's just very, very safe. Is probably the best way to describe it, and that probably we need another word. This word doesn't exist, but the ball is his. He's able to receive the ball high up and keep it. With terms of nearly 10 per 90 at the 89th percentile, that means the passes don't always cut out, which means the quality of the pass is probably also quite good. But we know that Lens have got good midfielders. We've looked at Seko, Fofana and stuff, so they've got a reasonably good side. So when he's receiving these passes, it sticks, which is something we whinge about doesn't happen with Chris Wood. So he's receiving these passes high. He gets the passes. He carries the ball well with 4.3 per 90. He's tidy with he's safe with his passing, higher up in the pitch as well. 2.5 shots per game. Not as crazy numbers here, but again, it depends on the style of play. You could argue that he could probably increase his defensive output with pressures in a different system. He's definitely got the energy to do that. So it's not that he can't. It depends if teams sit back or whether they press. So if we go and have a look at people who he's similar to, Jonathan David's in there as well. So reasonably good company.
He seems to pop up in every single one of these, Jonathan
David. He does,
David.
doesn't he? It's very odd. So Immobile, Guimero, Jonathan David, Neil Mope as well is. We reviewed him a few months ago, actually, when we got linked, and his stats were very tidy as well.
Luis Suarez.
So he's in very, very good company here. I didn't actually load up his sofa score, which we can do very, very quickly. Here's the Kalimuendo, there you are. So, Trophy de Champions. No, we don't want that. We want Ligue 1. Here he is. So, instantly his online value is a lot higher than what Seko Mara's was. So, I think he was the whole Leeds prices were like around 30-ish. There was a lot of sort of 25, 30s being thrown around in terms of 30 million for his valuation. Whenever we were linked or Leeds were linked, it was so it's going to be a lot more than Seko Mara. Is a bit of a whack. It might even be higher than that. They might want add-ons or bonuses. You know what these agents are like. So just for people who haven't seen him, they line up. So Club de Lens, they line up like this with their funny wing backs. So Frankowski in the Poland team, I've seen a lot of it, is tidy. And then they've got Czech Decore and Seko Fofana. So I think Czech Decore has just gone somewhere. Where did he go again?
Palace.
Or Palace.
Yeah.
So yeah, the very, very tidy midfield with the Fofana and Decore, very strong. And then he sits right up there and puts in good performances. Scores fairly often for somebody of his age, and to be leading the line as well. But yeah, you can probably see they soak up pressure a bit and hit on the counter. You would imagine that's probably why his pressures are a little bit lower. I'd have to go and confirm that, but and you can see that they do reasonably well in terms of score lines. 2-2 against Nantes, and they got 1-1 against PSG. So they seem to be in all of the games, very, very well structured. So for a young lad to be part of those, I mean, this is what we play like. All of our games in the back end of last season were all 1-0s, 2-1s.
Yeah,
they were all, oh God, can we get that last goal or can we hang on? So this kid's been there. He's the team sort of are in those sort of close score lines. You've got to be focused. And I would be gobsmacked if he didn't transfer somewhere this window, at least on loan, because he's not going to play for PSG. It's just not going to happen. Because it's Icardi, Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, Ekitike. Are there any more? Probably. Di Maria's gone somewhere. That's 5.
Yeah.
He's not going to get minutes. He's just not going to get any minutes. There's probably more that I've forgotten. So
he certainly looks like a player that we could definitely use, and certainly a much more attractive prospect than Chris Wood is as a replacement for Callum Wilson, without a shadow of a doubt. I'll take him in a second. There's just some comments coming here. I want to make Chris and Paul, take it easy on Eddie Howe. I'm not having to go at Eddie Howe when I talk about the morale in the dressing room or anything like that. I think you've taken it the wrong way. It's the people saying it. He's not allowed to do it because it might upset the apple cart or whatever. It's bollocks, man. It is. If there's, like we've already said, if there's some sort of harmony between the players and Eddie Howe going through Lascelles, then fine, keep it that way. But he doesn't necessarily have to be captain to do that. It's the job at the end of the day. You can't. I mean, like I said, the big managers around the world, nowhere would they even contemplate that. They'd just say, right, I'm making the decision and I'm doing it for the benefit of the football club. Steve says, can you imagine if the naysayers about the transfers suddenly woke up and the takeover had just been a dream? Short memories or what? Ryan says, as the standards grow, cutthroat decisions will occur more frequently. Chris says that Newcastle Brown Ale is going to Paul's head. Chris, give our man. I'm 6'5". One bottle of brown ale isn't even going to touch the sides, mate, to be fair. So I'm talking because I'm sick. I'm sick of hearing it upset the dressing room. It's a load of crap. You've got to make cutthroat decisions in football.
Brendan Rodgers or whoever it may have been at the time, Ranieri, did the same with Wes Morgan at Leicester. When after they won the league, he didn't play 2 seasons. He was still club captain. It could be something down to character and character alone.
Yeah. Foxy says Bordeaux, beautiful new stadium. Has a club gone backwards ever since moving into it? Yeah, the stadium is fantastic.
They nearly managed to sort themselves out. They were, I say unlucky is the wrong word, because they got a bunch of money from who was it that's just gone to? Hang on, it is not Jules Koundé, the other one. Jules Koundé might go. There's another one that's just gone as well. Basically, they've got a bunch of really, really good players that have moved about or are about to move about, and they've got like sell-on clauses. They just didn't quite get enough time. I think they needed to raise like 40 million euros at the start of June, and they didn't get enough. They were close though, and they were unfortunate. They got docked 2 points during the season, and if they hadn't have been docked those 2 points, they would have been in the playoff that Saint Etienne were in and ultimately lost and went down. So yeah, very weird situation.
Imagine how hard it would be if someone super famous with millions of viewers wanted to join the Toon Review. Do you fire someone? It would mess up cohesion. It matters. Dan, I wouldn't fire anybody. They just join the club. They just join the teammates. Simple as that. I wouldn't have to fire anybody. Look, it's my personal opinion. You know, having been in the sports dressing room for most of my life, it's just my opinion. You know, you change the captain, you get on with it. It's as simple as that. That's my opinion, whether you like it or not. You guys out there, you've got your opinion on it, and that's fine. I don't mind at all. I just think it's bollocks. So Trips can't be captain because he isn't a centre back or midfielder.
I didn't say can't be. It's just my personal preference.
Yeah. Kieran says Trippier is the perfect captain. He has a voice that people listen to and is respected for what he did at Atletico and for England. Tickle my feet with a bird feather, I think is what I said. Oh, dear me. Lascelles is a striker. He's better than Wood from corners, in my opinion. After watching today, lacking pace and quality up front. Yeah, but I mean, look, do you guys think that Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall are standing there today thinking, oh, we're all good to go? We haven't got any issues?
Absolutely not.
They'll know. They'll know at the end of the day. So, and I'm sure they'll be sort of, you know, liaising back to Dan Ashworth today. They're having conversations, you know, the owners and everybody will be in on it, you know, just to say, right, what do you need from us? What do you want to try and do? Where can we take this? You know, who do you want to go for? You know, it's.
I think with the fitness side of it all, I think Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall would have been really pleased with it, especially the first 11's hour of play, because the fitness was really, really good. The constant press for 60 minutes. Yeah. You know, that's something that would never have happened at this time last season. And it's happening with ease. Let's be honest. I mean, that they pressed from minute one to the minute it went off. So, yeah, I was really pleased. And I think they'll be really pleased with the fitness. And that's what it's all about, is getting minutes into the legs, isn't it? And finding a nice gel for the team to work together. But we're not there yet, but we've got 3 or 4 more games yet. So let's not worry yet.
Exactly. There's a long way to go. And I think there's 40-odd days of the transfer window left as well. Plenty time. But, you know, just panic for no reason. Today shows Paqueta is needed, and if the price has dropped, then let's get in there before Arsenal do, says Julie. Yeah, look, I mean, you're pretty confident, Billy, aren't you, with Paqueta? If we went in for him between us and Arsenal, he would choose us every time.
I believe he will, yeah, and I think it's been kind of said in the media as well that he's kind of intimated that. So, 100%, if we wanted him, I think we'll get him.
Francisco says, I'm glad this happened. So that both fans and players came back down to reality. We are improving, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Absolutely. 100% with that. Adrian says our crossing in general was atrocious. It was, and there's no getting around that. But again, you know, quite a few players had off days today. Lee said, let's get Neymar, Ronaldo, Messi, Toni Kroos. Let's bring Ronaldinho out of retirement last year for another season. You think Vinnie Jones will put the boots back on? Lee, honestly. We just looked flat today. Chris Wood is definitely not good enough. We need a winger and a striker pretty soon. Peter says Murphy sucks, nowhere near good enough. I mean, look, there is players that we know aren't good enough, and this will be a conversation that will go right through the transfer window, right into the final, you know, day of the transfer window. If we haven't signed anybody, there'll be blind panic again, thinking, oh, we're going to really struggle. We're going to this, we're going to that. You know, just keep steady, guys. You know, it's there's a long way to go in pre-season, and I think that the Portuguese games, I think, are going to be a lot more of a bigger test, Alex.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're not trying to sign players either. Everybody's panicking a lot. Like they are. We have confirmation that they are trying to sign players, like literal confirmation. Eddie Howe, what did he say? We are keen to add strength to certain areas. I'm sure we can hopefully land a player who can make a difference. That was after Friday, and then we do have a lot of journalists and agents who have confirmed we've been sort of inquiring about Diaby and these different players. This isn't confirmed, and a lot of this has come out of Eddie Howe's mouth himself. Like, we're fine. They're trying to. They'll sort it. We've got a long time left of the transfer window, and as we get, as you said, yeah, it is a bigger test. And as we get closer, he will start to play his stronger players and closer to that starting 11 as we gear up for the season. And he's not going to be given Richie minutes and players like that or Murphy. It will be our players that he's going to want 100% ready for the Forest game, like on the first day of the season. So it's fine.
Smokey Joe says Botman is only 22 years old and he's evidently quality. These are the young strikers don't impress me. We need a statement signing. Johnny says if Wood gets 5 goals next season, I'll eat my hat. Don't think you'll be eating your hat, mate. James says like to see how we do against Champions League quality teams, i.e. Benfica and Atalanta.
Well, Atalanta finished 8th.
Yeah, but Bilbao is also a good test.
They also finished 8th.
Foxy says prefer to sign a forward that's at a similar level to Wilson, like Gabigol or Zapata, and one for the future like Santos, forward Marcus Leonardo or winger Gabriel Angelo.
That's a big claim, saying Gabigol is on a similar level to Wilson. It might be, but it's impossible to confirm that unless he plays in a proper league. Yes, I say a proper league. I'm sorry, but we don't know that. Zapata more so because we watched him in the Champions League and Serie A, so that's easier to confirm, but not. You can't confirm Gabigol really.
Malcolm wants to know, when do you find out about the podcast awards, mate? I don't know, if I'm all honest. This is the first time we've really had any votes go in for the channel, but I presume that they would email us if there was anything to email us about. You never know. But, for the podcast awards, we are quite a mini little channel when you compare to some of the other bigger ones, but you never know. We'll see what happens. But thank you, everybody that voted. I mean, we had lots of votes go in for the channel, so thank you so much for that. Neil says 6'5", Paul man, bring you in instead of Wood. I'll tank 50 on you to score before Deadwood. I'd just plonk myself there. I'd make sure I was in there every cross that came in. Rob C says late again, guys, so we'll have to watch it back. Not been very well today, but still drag myself up to try and watch. Still love this show. Cheers, matey, Rob, and get better soon. Hi, Paul, Alex, Billy, bit late tonight, but I got here, says Moxie. Nice one. Geordie Howe man says, I'm telling everyone about this stream. Pass the word on, good people. Thank you very much. Gary says, Alex with good stats research, Billy with the history of our club, and Paul, you talk sense. Eddie is our man, and there has to be defo changes, but let's take our time. Cheers, Gary. We appear to be heading for the last week of the window. Panic buys. No, but comments like that make it seem like, there's no
ages left. We've got so long left of the window. The window shuts like several weeks after the season started.
I like actually the way Johnny's answered it by saying we're deal hunting, not panic buying. Yeah. Yep. And we're not going to be messed around. When it's clear that the owners have stated that we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to be paying Newcastle tax or anything like that. So we'll see. Paul, didn't you predict that there would be a few last-minute signings too? Someone definitely predicted it, and I agree. Yeah, what I did say was it could go down to the last day where we are still in for players, and I think, we will be linked with players on the final day of the transfer window. That's just the way it works, and that's the position we're in now. We're shopping at the big table now. Any big players that are up and available, we will be mentioned with, whether it's true or not. The media will link us with that player, But again, it's just we're going to have to wait and see on it. But I genuinely do believe that we will be in this transfer window all the way through to the end. And I know, Eddie Howe stated, and people have said, let's not wait till the end of the window. Let's get these players in and get going early doors. But sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you have to be in it till the very end to get the players you want. And I think that's going to happen this window. But that's it for the show tonight, guys. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that sent in a super chat. And if you have enjoyed the show tonight, as usual, please do hit that like button. It does send a message to YouTube that we are fantastic on here, and it puts us further up the search results as well. If you've enjoyed the show and you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so. I'm not sure what the hell Alex is grinning at. But also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload or we go live. And you can join the Toon Review as well. Just hit the join button underneath. And thank you to everybody that has super chatted. Alex, would you like to tell everyone why you've got a grin on your face?
Oh, because in case we had like an extra 5 minutes, I popped Ivan Toney on because we were linked with him again. and you've obviously we don't have to look at him, but Paul obviously hates him so much. He's gone now. We're ending the show. We're not looking at Tony. And it's just funny.
Isn't he going to Man United? I've seen a strong link today that he's going to Man United.
I saw that we were linked with him yesterday again, and a few people have mentioned him on social media today.
I think whenever any other team goes for him, we always suddenly appear on the list as well.
Yeah. I don't think they're very strong links. It's been very loose rumours. This must be like the 5th, possibly even 6th time this has come around that he's been linked to us. So again, probably no point unless we get something with a bit more substance, because we've talked about him a lot. So,
and there's a £2 super sticker from Moxie. I missed one the other week, and there's one just gone up now.
Has it? Moxie? Yeah. Oh yes, I've just seen it. Thank you very much, Moxie. Really appreciate it, matey. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but it was just a sequence, because as I put Ivan Toney up, you were like, and we're done.
He doesn't. I don't think there's any chance of him coming to Newcastle. I genuinely don't. I don't see any rhyme or reason why we have to talk about Ivan Toney. He kissed the Brentford badge in front of the Gallagher. That's enough for me. It put Danielle off as well. We know that, and it put a lot of Newcastle fans off him when he did that. So screw him is what I say. But like I said, thank you very much for tuning in tonight, everybody, and taking part in the show again in the comments. Thank you to Alex and Billy, and thank you to the mods for keeping the chat nice and smooth again. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow night on the Toon Review at 8:30 p.m. with, of course, the fan forum. So get yourself on, have your say on Newcastle United. What do you think of the friendly games? Have you been impressed? Where do we need to go? What's your thoughts on the transfer window and the up-and-coming season? It's your platform, so come and tell us what you think. But we'll be back 8:30 tomorrow. If there's any news, of course, I'll do another video during the day as well. But stay safe in the really hot sunshine tomorrow. I'm now going to sweat my ass off and not sleep a wink tonight. And I don't suppose a lot of people around the UK will be. But try and stay cool. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 8:30. Take care, everyone.
How are the lads?